Want to do better? Then it's time to change the story. Welcome to our show about new visions currently transforming the world through the confluence of art, tech, and innovation. And now your hosts, Michael Ashley and Neil Sahota.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Changing the Story. We've got quite the athletic guest today, Matty West. He believes that complete strangers can do things for others with unconditional love, and it can make a huge difference to people's lives. He wants to empower, challenge, and inspire young minds. He's fascinated with personal growth and developing a sharper mindset. Matty shares life experiences and lessons with his students, believing that everyone has greatness inside of them, and Matty helps them tap into it. He's also writing a book called What If Today Was Yesterday? So I can't wait to learn more about that as well. But Matty, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Neil. This is exciting and this is going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to a great conversation, man. So tell us the story. How did Matty become Matty?
All right. So Matty West, his identity was wrapped in athletics. And as a kid, in a roundabout way, he found soccer and soccer found him. And just fell in love with the game. And it really just, it checked a lot of boxes. It gave me a chance to compete. It gave me a chance to problem solve. It gave me a chance to get better. And little did I know that that was going to lead me into an incredible career playing with incredible players and coaches. And I thought I was chasing my dream, which turned out to be a different dream. And I did get a chance to play in college, and I did get a chance to play professionally, but that led me to coaching high school, which has led me now as a 12th grade U.S. government teacher. And so I coach girls soccer, and I am a 12th grade U.S. government teacher. And what ties in together about those things is, as a kid, I would see athletes and I'd watch television, and I would think, wow, they get to engage an audience. They get to entertain, they get to teach on how to do something better. And little did I know, I didn't want to be a professional athlete as much as I want to entertain, I want to engage, and I want to help people along the way.
Very cool. I guess I never really thought about it, but you're right. I mean, sports is really entertainment, especially when we're spectators.
Yes.
You went down this path, so I got to ask the big question, why soccer, right? That's not like America's pastime.
No, it is not. And so I was really fortunate when I was 4, and my parents took me to England, and we did a family trip, and we had a flat. And in the flats, we were upstairs on the 3rd floor, and outside of the window was a schoolyard, and there was a pickup soccer game. And here my parents wanted to go to museums and castles and try different food. And all I wanted to do was watch these kids play. And I was absolutely just mesmerized. And as luck would have it, or fate would have it, when we got home with my parents' work schedules, we had one day that was open for practice, that they could get me to practice. And it was on Wednesday nights. And it just so happened between basketball and baseball, soccer and football, soccer practices on Wednesday nights.
Oh, wow. So it's a little cosmic coincidence, huh?
Yeah, I like that, yes.
So how did you go from soccer to like coach to inspiring young people?
You know, it has been something that I've had some incredible mentors. And starting with my mom and dad, they just really set a standard about the importance of education, about growth, and about learning. And ironically, I was not a great student, and and didn't want to be in the classroom. And one of the things that helps me as a teacher now is connecting with some kids that don't realize the importance of learning, or how to learn, or what learning will do to get you to where you want to go. And so, you know, it was something that I felt like it was either a calling or it called me. And I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. And I can totally relate. Like, people will be surprised to learn that I actually used to hate writing. Here I am, author, writing in Forbes, books, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I actually used to hate writing. It wasn't until I got a chance to write something that I wanted to write that I realized that I actually enjoy it.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I think something about learning that's important is having students learn about things that are important to them in ways that they can connect and relate to. And that's just this 21st century classroom that we are creating.
Well, tell me more about the 21st century classroom, because we've had a couple of guests on from education, and even I talk about that we keep using 19th century
Right.
techniques, right? Why are we doing that? And why are we there's got to be a better way to engage students, right?
Absolutely. And, I'm going to talk about a part of the learning process is it goes both ways. And I want the students to be active participants in the process. And so we have projects that don't have narrow guidelines, but really open interpretation. And so we're really fortunate here that we have, each student has an iPad. And so we have access to things, like iMovie and Keynote, and they can create Prezi presentations. And all of these things are creative, engaging, innovative, and the less boundaries I put on them, the more they take it in different directions.
That's really awesome. It kind of reminds me actually of work, right? The best way to develop your employees is you set the expectations and the goals, let them figure out the best way to make it happen. It sounds like you're doing something similar with your students.
Yeah, and there's a guy, Jocko Willink, who is got Navy SEAL and has a great story on leadership. And in his book, Extreme Ownership, he talks about decentralized command and having, let's say, your employees or the under rank or my students come up with the guidelines for what they want. And I'm just overseeing it, making sure that we stay somewhat within the tracks here.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment, because
Yeah.
I actually agree with what you're saying, but I'm sure there are people out in the audience going like, well, kids, are they really old enough, or they experienced enough to kind of figure some of these things out on their own?
So we do an activity called Create Your Own Government. And in that, they get a chance to make articles of the Constitution. They create a preamble. They get to pick their style of governing. And then they get to explain why they did that and what effect they're going to have for the people that live there, why they're going to appreciate the government. And although there are some suggestions on what needs to be included, they get to create their own flag. They get to create like a national anthem, and they get to go in a bunch of different directions. And believe you me, over the years, they have come up with some countries that I wouldn't mind living in right now.
That's awesome. I don't know if you can share any of those little government tips for us.
Well, we are in a state right now, and one of the things that I was a political science major, and picking your words and your narratives is really important. And so, sometimes, all the time, the students will ask something about the election or about one of the candidates, and I've gotten good at not answering questions. And so, an example is, what do you think about Joe Biden, president-elect? And I say, hey guys, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm forward. Let's move forward together.
That's a great way to put it. And like, you have to be good at not answering questions. We're a little too quick to kind of feed the answer or show people how to do something, rather than let them try and figure it out for themselves.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because we have an environment in my class that is open, that kids can be vulnerable and kids can share things that are important to them. And that's not an easy thing to do. And a part of that is because we show respect towards each other. And do we make mistakes? Do some things happen? Absolutely, but those are great opportunities for us to learn together how something might have been hurtful, or why we should phrase something in a different way. And the kids then when they feel safe, I don't care so much what they think. I care that they think. And I'm just getting some incredible responses from them.
I'm kind of curious about this, right? Because I think you actually said something really powerful. It's not that I care what they think, I care that they are thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, everybody has gifts, they have talents, they have experiences, and they have what has gotten them to this point. And I want to help them. I want to be a bridge from where they are to where they're going. And I know that critical thinking is critical. I know that analyzing and synchronizing information and coming up with an opinion, that's what makes us who we are.
I chuckle a bit because I 100% agree. And yet we live in an age where everybody wants to be kind of spoon-fed things, right? We do a great job with our media and stuff of pushing the information, pushing the explanation so that we don't actually have to think.
Well, and this is a part of the Empower, Challenge, and Inspire. And the challenge is, as an athlete, is the game, is the competition. And in a competition, what happens is we get forced to be uncomfortable. We get forced to have to do something in a way that we haven't done, but we prepared for trying to do it when we have to do it. And so the students really, they look forward to the challenges, and they want to be tested and pushed, and they want to see what the limits are, because when they reach a limit, they realize that there's a further limit.
So it's almost like you keep expanding their comfort zone, then their comfort zone actually expands out, right? I mean, do something a little bit beyond, builds that a little beyond. So like their personal bubbles are getting bigger.
And if we do it right, yeah, we get them being comfortable being uncomfortable. And, that in this time and space that we're living in with the pandemic and uncertainty, that is a skill. And, that's something I really want to help equip students with, is problem solving and working through situations.
That's awesome. These are the kind of things that a lot of people talk about, where they say like, well, why aren't we teaching the kids some of these like skills, right? And everyone kind of has their opinion, and it sounds like you're actually doing it, which is fantastic, but why aren't we doing more of this in our educational systems?
Well, I think we've gotten caught up majoring in minor things and minoring in major things. And, we need people that are able to think on their feet and get given a set of circumstances and almost like an escape room, figure out how to get out of it. And, interestingly, I tell my students all the time that what you're learning today isn't for today, but it's for a future situation that with this knowledge, you're going to be more prepared for and you're going to do better in.
I'm curious, right? Because I look at adults, we're not good at, envisioning something that's going to happen even a couple of years out. It just seems so far away. If you're a student today, I mean, are they better at it, or is that even tougher for them because it seems even more ethereal?
Unfortunately, right now with social media, and I'll just throw in the pandemic and isolation, we've really regressed. And interpersonal skills are something that we really need to reinvest in how to do, and take it a step further. A lot of people, personal growth is important, but one of the things that we don't emphasize enough is helping others. And with our gifts and our talents and our abilities and our strengths, we need to share those with people. And when we do, the more we do that, other people are going to compliment us with what they're good at.
I unfortunately can empathize with all the parents and all the students out there, because we got two boys at home, and it's hard on them, right? And I get that, and I think they really miss the social contact, like in-person contact. But they're also kind of at the age where, well, they understand what's happening. They don't understand like psychologically and developmentally what's actually happening to them.
Right. Yeah, and this is what's really unfortunate because, a part of school is learning how to work through, conflict, uncomfortable, hurt feelings, and learning how to follow rules and consequences. And it's easier to do it in your room watching a computer, but you're only scratching the surface of what you really need to tap into.
Yeah. Well, Matty, do you have any advice, secrets you're using to help build resilience with your students?
One of the things that's really helped me is once upon a time through my athletics and through some different, experiences, people were really transactional. Hey, do this and we'll get this. And if I didn't do this and we didn't get this, I'd get yelled at, or there'd be a consequence, or you have to run a lap for you to, do something. And that transactional gets you to a point. But what I've learned is that relational leadership helps someone feel important, feel like they matter, and then want to more intrinsically do what they're capable of doing. And then they want to do it for the team. And they are nothing without the team, and the team is nothing without them. And so that's where I'm at.
It's actually really good advice. And it's your sense of community. They always say it takes a village. I actually, being a big sports fan, I love your sports analogy as a team. But it's something that kids can actually relate to, right? I mean, if they don't actively play sports, most people are familiar with the notion of team, right?
Yeah. And you know what? With the Lakers winning the championship this year, that was a true testament because they had a lot of new pieces and a new coach and a new GM. And they had the loss of Kobe, the addition of AD, and then being in the bubble. And in order for them to pull that off, they really had to sacrifice for each other. And, it was remarkable that they were the last team standing, but it's a credit to the culture and the environment that they were able to create.
100%. It's a great story about overcoming adversity. And I don't think most people realize that how hard it was for the players to be in the Orlando bubble, that it took a huge mental toll, right?
Absolutely. And, you're separated from your routine, you're separated from your family, you're separated from the outside. And that is when things are going good. When something adversity strikes, and it's not if, but when, now all of a sudden, you've got to not only do the pandemic and those plus life, and they met the challenge.
Oh, that's awesome, right? Tapping the greatness you were talking about.
Yeah. And again, so one of the things I really feel like all my students have gifts and they have talents and they have abilities, and I see it, but I want them to acknowledge and see it in themselves. And so we just did an activity, and so they're getting ready to apply for college, and they're asking teachers for letters of recommendation. And so I had students write themselves a letter of recommendation, and they had to tap into their strengths, their gifts, their talents, their abilities, what they've had to overcome, and what they've learned through these 4 years. And I'll just say, the assignment was a 1-page, and some kids wrote 3, 5, 7 page like books, and they just revealed some incredible stuff that I never would have known. But now this becomes more relational because I get to understand a different side that you don't see on the outside.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. I think it's powerful to get people to open up like that, and they're just doing it,
Yeah.
Let me shift gears here because I'm kind of curious about your book here. So you write a book called What If Today Was Yesterday? Tell me about that.
Oh, yes. So it is basically, it's my imagination, it's my experiences, and it's how I have perceived my 20 years of teaching. And so the book starts something like, this is my 39th semester and my 20th year here at school.
Woo!
And but it's my first opportunity with this group. And as I look out to my class, I see students with courage. I see students that are nervous. I see athletes, and I see actors. I see musicians, and more than that, I see people with resilience, and I see people with strength, and I see future mothers and fathers and entrepreneurs. And so the book is a group of stories of how kids had to overcome obstacles. And Coach West was a part of that process. And Coach West was like a bridge to see the potential in the kids and to see where they are, and just to be a bridge to get them a little bit closer to where they're going.
Well, that's cool. I have to ask, because I remember my experience as a first-time author. When did you come up with the idea to write a book?
For some reason, there's always been something after my freshman year in college, when I wrote the worst essay in the history of the world, that I wanted to get better at this. And I would say for the last 5 years, about 3 of those years, it's been dormant. And I have a Dropbox folder that's called What If Today Were Yesterday? And when I would come across different kinds of things, I would drop it in. And then I really said, you know what, it's time to just sit down and start doing some work. And so we are well into it, and I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Well, cool. I can empathize. I had talked about writing my book for 2 years before I actually started the process to write it.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it up, because this will definitely stoke a fire. And I will get any inspiration that I can. And this will definitely, thank you for writing your books, and thank you for showing me that it's possible.
And look, if I can do it, anyone can. Not saying that writing a book is easy. Don't get me wrong, Matty. It's
right.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work, but crafting a story, putting a narrative that a lot of people can just relate to, not even understand, but relate to, it's hard. And so I really applaud you for doing this, Matty.
And you know what's been a fun part of the process is some of the content that I've put out, but also spending time reading other books and getting ideas and having that add to my experiences and the message that I'm weaving. And so I am really enjoying it, and I'm not trying to beat myself up if I take a week off or something from writing, because it's not that I'm not thinking about it.
Well, that's good. Do you know when you're going to have the book completed?
Yeah, we need to have it. I'd like to have it published next year here.
Cool. Do you have a publisher?
Yeah, and I'll ask you. My first inclination was a self-publishing, but what did you do?
So interesting. I was thinking about self-publishing myself, until the UN found out I was writing the book and said that we want to launch this at AI for Good.
Oh, wow.
You're like, you helped us co-fund this whole thing. You've done so much work. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, AI for Good is like 7 months away. I'm right. I'm 90% done with the writing, but you got, art cover, interior.
Oh,
art.
yeah. Yes.
So I said, like, maybe I should try and find a real publisher, and I had 4 publishers interested.
Okay.
And McGraw-Hill was the one that really said that not only do we love your book like everybody else, but we will bend over backwards to get it published in time, because I don't think a lot of people realize it takes about 10 months for a publisher to get your book ready and out the door.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of work involved. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, props to you for seeing it, believing it, and achieving it. And that's admirable.
I hope it inspires everyone. Like I said, if I can write a book, anyone can. Everyone's got a story to share, right? This is changing the story, so we encourage that.
Yes.
Matty, this has been absolutely fascinating. If people want to stay in touch with you, see what you're up to, what's the best way to stay connected?
So you can hit my LinkedIn page, and it's Matty West. I am also on Facebook at Matty West, and I've got a Twitter handle that we'll put in the bottom here.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure those are also all the show notes for easy access for the audience. Matty, this has been fantastic. Thank you for being an inspiration to our next generation of leaders, for all you do, and being a proud soccer fan.
Yes. Yeah, no, thank you. This has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate an opportunity to have this conversation. Thank you, Neil.
My pleasure. Well, thanks, everybody.
Hey, if you like today's show, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment.
If you've been enjoying the Changing the Story podcast series, please subscribe and share it with your friends.
Thank you.